Liverpool, under Arne Slot, is crumbling in a way even their harshest critics didn't anticipate. Nearly £500 million spent on reinforcements. Alexander Isak, Hugo Ekitike, Florian Wirtz, and yet the club sits in 11th, staggering from defeat to defeat. This is a team that was just crowned champions, now suddenly stripped of direction, fight, and identity. A 3-0 loss at Anfield, no matter the opponent, speaks for itself. And this isn't an isolated bad day. Liverpool have dropped 6 of their last 7 league matches, a spiral so severe that they're rewriting unwanted records. The last time Liverpool suffered back-to-back losses by 3 goals or more was in 1965. That alone should freeze the blood of every supporter wearing red.
The numbers are brutal. In their last 10 games, 18 conceded, only 12 scored, 7 losses, 3 wins, a stunning fall from a side that recently intimidated Europe. Some observers argue that this may be the long-delayed psychological crash after Klopp's exit, a collapse that never arrived last season because emotion and momentum carried the team through to a miraculous league title.
Now that adrenaline is faded and what remains feels exposed. Slot is in the spotlight, but there's a call from some corners to stay calm. The preseason was chaotic, the injuries to Wirtz and Bradley matter, and settling a new system takes time. Still, that doesn't mask the obvious. The defense is unsure of itself, the midfield lacks synchronization, and the attack often feels blunt.
The lowest moment wasn't losing to Manchester United or even being outclassed by City. Those defeats hurt, but they're understandable. The true shock was the capitulation to Nottingham Forest at Anfield, a side barely staying above the relegation zone. That result didn't just sting, it rewrote the emotional atmosphere of the stadium. The Anfield aura, once a psychological weapon, now seems neutralized. Even analysts were left speechless, describing the performance as inexplicable. Dominating possession, yet losing direction. Pressing without conviction. Attacking without purpose. Something deeper than fatigue or form is at play. A lack of coherence. A broken rhythm. A crisis of confidence.
And so the questions sharpen. Is Slot misfiring? Are the players failing him? Are the summer signings the wrong fit? Or is Liverpool facing a deeper structural unraveling? What's clear is that pressure is mounting fast, and Slot now stands directly in its path as Liverpool's season teeters on the edge.
Arne Slot's lowest moment wasn't the 3-0 thrashing at the Etihad. City can do that to anyone. The night that truly broke something was the evening Nottingham Forest came to Anfield and left with the exact same scoreline. Same margin, far greater humiliation. You didn't need data that night, you only needed to watch. Van Dijk and Konate spent 90 minutes looking lost in their own backyard. Dominic Szoboszlai, a born number 8, was stranded at right back, his gifts wasted on overlapping runs that led nowhere. Alexander Isak, the £125 million crown jewel, registered one solitary touch inside the Forest penalty area and not a single effort on target.
Teams have decoded the puzzle now. Sit deep, clog the middle, dare Liverpool to break you down. The old suffocating press has turned hesitant, the lightning transitions have gone missing, and the crowd that once terrified visitors has started to sound ordinary. In the last 3 league games at Anfield, Liverpool have lost twice. The fortress didn't just crack that night, it collapsed into dust.
But the unraveling runs deeper than the scoreboard. It's burrowed into their heads, turning every early concession into a death sentence. This season, Liverpool haven't clawed back a single point once they've gone behind. That's worlds away from last year's championship run, when Slot's gutsy halftime tweaks scooped up a league-high 23 points from losing spots, keeping the fire alive. Now, when Liverpool fall behind, it feels terminal, and the pattern keeps repeating. One setback, and the mental lights turn off. Slot has admitted it himself. Adjustments were attempted, but nothing worked. And when nothing works, responsibility lands squarely on the manager.
Liverpool have had slow starts before. Klopp's 2022 season was riddled with them, but back then they had resilience. Last year they had belief. This year,
Both are gone. And nowhere is that clearer than in the collapse of Konate. He was supposed to be a cornerstone beside Van Dijk. Speed to cover, strength to win duels, calm on the ball. Instead, he has become a liability opponents actively hunt.
His worst performance arrived against Manchester City, who targeted him over and over. First, when Doku's drive down the wing led to a bad clearance from Konate that handed Doku the ball right back, forcing Mamardashvili into a penalty-creating challenge. Then came the unforgivable lapse, a basic floated ball from Matheus Nunes, and Konate simply does nothing. No leap, no shove, no positioning. Haaland slips behind him and nods it in. That isn't elite defending. That's a defender frozen in doubt.
And these aren't isolated errors. Against Palace, he simply watches a clearance pass in front of him. No reaction. Against Galatasaray, it's careless distribution. A pass telegraphed straight into Osimhen's lane. One interception later, Osimhen is through on goal, and only a poor finish saves Konate from complete humiliation. These moments don't look like random mistakes. They look like a player whose confidence has evaporated. And so Liverpool's cracks don't just exist on the scoreboard. They exist in the mindset, in decision-making, in the erosion of certainty. And with every match, that erosion spreads. Then there's Florian Wirtz, the signing that was supposed to redefine Liverpool's midfield. £116 million, pre-packaged brilliance from Leverkusen, a generational output machine with 69 direct goal contributions in 2 seasons. The idea was elegant. Remove Trent's creative burden, rebuild the midfield with Wirtz as its beating brain. On paper, flawless. On grass, the Premier League has devoured him. The tempo, the pressure, the physical duels, Wirtz looks overwhelmed. 0 goals, 0 assists. His best moments have come in Europe, where matches slow down just enough for him to breathe.
But in England, every touch feels rushed. Against Crystal Palace, he twice made the wrong decision. Once feeding the ball to the opponent instead of a supporting runner, another time taking too long and losing possession without any real threat created. These moments don't show incompetence. They show a talented player still searching for oxygen in a league that gives you none.
If Wirtz has stumbled, Isak has fallen flat. £125 million, a Premier League record. A striker who bulldozed defenses at Newcastle, and yet, at Liverpool, he's drifting through matches like a ghost. Forced the move, skipped preseason, missed early rhythm. The club built a tailored fitness schedule to bridge the gap, expecting him to explode into form by October. Instead, one scruffy goal versus Southampton in the Carabao Cup, and nothing else of note. In league play, he's too often disconnected from build-up, lacking chemistry and assertiveness. The striker meant to transform Liverpool's attack is still stuck searching for his own sharpness.
And then there's the decision that may prove the most damaging of all, letting Luis Diaz leave for Bayern Munich without securing a direct replacement. Financially, there may have been logic. Tactically, it looks reckless. Slot entered the season with just 2 senior wingers, Salah and Gakpo. A squad built for a long, bruising Premier League marathon suddenly lacked the whiff and unpredictability Diaz provided. Bayern's strategy shows clearly what Liverpool are missing. Chiesa is treated like a rotation piece rather than a solution. Ngumo Hai is still a developing teenager, and while Wirtz and Ekitike can drift wide, neither of them is a true winger, and the team's fluency suffers the moment they're asked to operate there. Without Trent Alexander-Arnold steering the build-up with those laser diagonals and line-breaking passes, Liverpool's progression falls apart. Even when they attempt long direct balls into Salah or Gakpo, the follow-up connections don't land.
And that leads to the core limitation. Liverpool no longer have a player who can reliably win duels on the wing, stretch defenders, and force panic. Diaz was that chaos, the spark that turns sterile possession into danger. And the painful twist, he's never looked sharper than he does now at Bayern. That kind of individual brilliance doesn't exist in Liverpool's squad anymore. Meanwhile, Salah, relieved of most defensive duties by Slot, can look static when the press collapses. One moment says it all. Enzo receives outside the box, Cucurella overlaps, and Salah simply watches the play unfold without pressure or recovery. Seconds later, the ball is in the net.
And that's the essence of Liverpool's ongoing crisis. The squad is unbalanced, the alternatives don't replicate what was lost, and the Stars aren't compensating with work off the ball. The club is paying the price for selling their only true winger and for assuming his output could be shared by others. Still, Slot can't escape scrutiny, not after a run of 6 losses in 7 matches and a fall to 11th with a negative goal difference.
Yes, the injuries are brutal. Yes, missing Wirtz, Robertson, Bradley, and midfield depth rips holes in the system. But after £450 million spent, Liverpool cannot look this fragile, this soft, this mentally breakable. Recovering rhythm and belief now falls squarely on Slot's shoulders. He was backed with money, with authority, and with trust. Now he needs to produce solutions, not excuses.